SalesRabbit just bought Roofle. This isn't just news, it's a warning. Because when roofing software gets acquired, things always change. And right now, roofers have more power than they realize. Let me explain what this really means.
The Roofle acquisition by SalesRabbit. So if you haven't heard, SalesRabbit bought RoofLink, the CRM, and then they bought Roofle yesterday. Because remember, every acquisition is just a discount on future earnings. Meaning you think this company will do $1 million profit a year for the next foreseeable future, and we'll buy it for 2 or 10 years of profit. This business is going to exist for another 50 years. Well, we'll buy it for the next 5 years of profit. So what you're doing is you're essentially saying we will get it. It's a discount on the future earnings of the company, which means that both agree that the earnings are going to go on and continue in perpetuity, but we're going to let them buy it at a discount. So why would we discount our future earnings? Well, because some writing is on the wall somewhere. Roofle is an online quoting tool, so a tool that allows people to get quotes on their roofing website based on satellite measurements and other measurement sources. I don't know all the sources because that's part of the secret sauce. Before I get started, first thing I want to do is say congratulations to Travis and Mike Goldenstein and Joe Hoffman, because at the end of the day, that's the dream. That's the dream. If you start some type of tech startup style company, that's the dream, is to get acquired. Like, that's the whole goal. But it means that for some reason, they didn't take the billy. They didn't pursue the $1 billion outcome. For whatever reason, they chose to take the money off the table and to let someone else buy their future. So we have to look at things like the Verisk acquisition of AccuLinks or the JobNimbus acquisition of SumoQuote. And what we have to remember is that usually behind like the JobNimbus acquisition, there's venture capital and private equity. There's financiers behind all this. So JobNimbus looks like nice guys. SumoQuote looks like nice guys, but there's a plan. There's a reason, because at the same time, you also have to think that, well, if the company's going to continue doing these earnings for the foreseeable future and we buy it for the next 5 years of earnings or 3 years or 12 years or 20 years or whatever the multiplier was on that purchase, the reason that they do it is because they think they're going to add to it. And sometimes the add to it isn't always by staying the same company that they were before. So change does and will come. Remember, SumoQuote, the founder, was gone not long after JobNimbus is acquired. The Canadian employees that started it were there, and then they weren't. And SumoQuote product didn't evolve, but it moved into JobNimbus. And then people randomly started getting 50% price increases, cancellations, being told if you didn't move into JobNimbus, you could no longer use SumoQuote. Now, none of this was said at first. They didn't say, hey, we're going to cancel all the SumoQuote users that are outside of it. And I am going through this nightmare right now with about 300 roofers that we put on SumoQuote who have no interest in being on JobNimbus. And what are they going to do? And shout out to Zuper for, coming out of the woodwork and being this amazing tool that, kind of does what CompanyCam does, Arrivy does, and SumoQuote does, and Phones does. And I think that they're doing a lot to take over the world. But the important thing to note is that, things will change. So what do? You right now have never had more power as a Roofle customer. So this is your time to secure a long-term. Use the fact that this news creates uncertainty about Roofle's future if you're not on RoofLink and SalesRabbit, because what happens when these companies buy, there is a plan. We don't know what the plan is. I don't know what the plan is. I haven't heard what the plan is. I'm not sharing anything that I've been told. I have no insider knowledge of this deal whatsoever. In fact, I talked to Mike just days ago and he didn't mention any of this. So I have no knowledge of any of this thing having happened, right? Because obviously they're going to be bound by privacy stuff, but there is always a plan. And so you as a Roofle customer right now are never going to be in a better position in terms of power and control over the relationship as you have right now. So make sure that you treat this as an inciting event that creates uncertainty about the future of your relationship with Roofle and use that to secure the best deals. Because the other thing that happens is the inside people who are watching the technology grow, who are invested in every day learning about e-commerce and online quoting and map sourcing and all this kind of stuff. They always know, they're doing SWOT analysis all the time. So they know their strengths, their weaknesses, their opportunities, and their threats. So in the case of the SumoQuote deal, what they recognized was Powerline, which was formerly a SumoQuote customer. Well, if you look at the interface for ProLine, and you look at SumoQuote in the OG days before it switched to JobNimbus, very similar UI. Like the template pages were almost the same. It's as close to a thing as a copy as you could say. Had SumoQuote not been pursuing the acquisition with JobNimbus, they would have gone after Proline. There was a conversation about it. It was going to put messiness on a deal that was basically already done. So it didn't happen. So shout out to AJ and John because they skirted that one, right? And they got past it because then it just never became an issue. But I was in the room when the conversation happened. So like quoting was at one point a luxury, quoting in proposals, let's say, right? Like the concept of measurements to proposal with a beautiful proposal with hero pages and all that stuff, that was at one point a luxury. Then it became ubiquitous. Every roofing CRM had it. So you saw that Leap, which was a proposal tool, right, that came out with a nice configure price quote to proposal workflow, they bought a struggling CRM, Job Progress. And they'll never say it was that they were struggling, but they were under threat and got sued by AccuLynx. And if you look at all the former leadership of Job Progress, when they went to start a roofing franchise, they didn't put all those small roofing companies on Job Progress. They put all those small roofing companies on Proline. So even the founders of the company didn't use the old CRM after it got acquired. So it's something to know about. And so Proline had a configure price quote proposal. Leap proposal company bought a roofing CRM, Roofar, which, you know, shout out to my Canadian brothers, but they are the Temu of everything in roofing, right? They created the low-cost version of EagleView, then they had the low-cost version of Roofle, then they had the low-cost version of JobNimbus, right? Like they're kind of like just the Wish edition of everything in roofing. So then Roofar, right, and now had the proposal in their CRM. So SumoQuote was watching all their integration partners, you know, steal their product, disappear, you know, stop integrating, make their own shit, buy their own shit, or be bought by their own shit. So all of a sudden, you had no longer had this like market position as the configure price quote tool for everybody. Same thing happened with Proline, right? Proline was once an integration to all the other CRMs, and writing on the wall, everybody's starting to move your feature set into their software. So you either have to like, you know, ride that out till it's done, or you create your own CRM. So these are the decisions that are made by tech companies every single day. So SumoQuote saw the writing on the wall. We are no longer going to be as strong in the roofing market as just a proposal tool, so we had to sell it. And if you look at the Roofle thing, well, you have to think. You've got Demand IQ kind of creating products. You've got Roofar with their Temu version of your product. And there's a whole new world coming to the world of development. You know, you've got Marcus Sheridan now selling an online quote builder kind of as a concept. And he's always been talking about pricing on your website. It was the number one kind of beacon of a person to point to until it wasn't. But the idea is that online pricing might be getting to become an easier product to roll out. And so now the value of the customer base and the value of the technology is generally decreasing over time. There was a period of time when a flashlight app on your phone was worth $4.99, then at 99 cents. And now the value of a flashlight app on your phone is effectively zero. Same thing with a notes app and a voice recorder app. You know, it was like Apple killed my product. Apple killed my company. And today it's very much like ChatGPT killed my company, right? So people start like an AI product, and then all of a sudden ChatGPT essentially swallows it all up. These are just things to consider when a tech company in your space gets bought out. Is you have to know that, first of all, congratulate the founders and know that they just crossed the finish line of like, that was the goal. If you're not going for the billion, like that's the goal. And so congratulate those guys and know that those guys just crossed a major finish line and milestone in life, and they deserve it. And like they saw it through. They crossed the finish line. And they deserve all the congratulations in the world. And they don't owe you a darn thing. They have worked their asses off, traveling the country, going and doing the trade shows, working their way through ideas that people love and people hate and people complain about, and things and bugs and fixes and all that kind of stuff. And that everybody's invested in this finish line, this eventual goal of the acquisition. So those guys deserve all the credit in the world. And what happens from now on ain't their fault. But no, that there's always a plan, that this was bought as a discount on future earnings, and for that there has to be a value increase or a value add to the relationship that wasn't there while just letting Roofle integrate. And that usually means that there's writing on the wall that Roofle was more aware of than SalesRabbit and RoofLink. There'll always be, you want to show them everything, and they're going to show them everything, and they're going to do their due diligence, but it is due diligence. They are finding it out. They know more about where the market's going to go than anyone else. And this is because I spent the last 14 months learning about this, because I have my own thing to launch in March, and so I've had to learn a lot about this. But there is going to be change coming, and they won't talk about it today. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if you're going to still allowed to be using Roofle, if you're not on RoofLink and you're not on SalesRabbit. This is just what happens. And It wasn't the plan with SumoQuote either. And it wasn't AccuLynx's plan to have Verisk go back out of the deal. But this stuff happened. So yeah, congratulations to the boys. They deserve it. They worked very, very hard. It is a huge thing to celebrate that a roofer from Minnesota put together a team, including guys that used to just run around the province, not the province, the state, because Mike was a GAF rep up before, I believe, and he did a great thing for the roofing community, and they did such a fantastic job, and they deserve it, right? And I'm super happy for them. But that doesn't mean you don't make good decisions. It doesn't mean you don't start thinking, because this is a fork in the road. I hope that helps, and I got nothing but love for the guys who went through it. They deserve all the congrats.